Welcome back to Conversation with Mr. French. I am your host, Derek, and I'm here with a good buddy of mine. We're here to talk about some investment and real estate, and I will let him introduce himself.
Thank you, Derek. Kelly Fontes, good friend of Derek's here. We've known each other for a few years now, always passing ideas back and forth and trying to help each other out. So glad to see he's out here doing his thing, and I was excited to be on the show.
Appreciate it. Good to have you. So, Kelly, tell us a little about yourself, Kelly, career-wise and where you originally from.
Well, now I'm back doing real estate and mortgage lending here in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I had a little hiatus there for a while. But practically my whole career has been in real estate type industries for the last 30 years that I've been here in Las Vegas. I moved up here in 94, went to UNLV and decided to stay. I've always loved the city, seen it grow just like everybody's city across the country right now, and raised a family, and I don't plan on going anywhere else.
Yeah, because Vegas is growing. Vegas is growing a lot. So, what inspired you to get into real estate?
You know, I got into real estate by accident. I graduated from UNLV in 99. I took my financial planner's 763 life insurance test, and I was waiting for my background, which used to be the old fingerprints, and they got shipped off, and I was sitting there and I had no work. You know, I thought I was ready to go. And during that time, which, you know, it might have just been a few months, but when you're young, it feels like an eternity. I was at this little bar down on Eastern and Eastern, what is now the 215. The 215 wasn't even there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bar on the outskirts of town called the Roadrunner. And I bumped into some guys who had a mortgage company and talked to them a bit. And then the next time I saw them, they told me they needed help with some Spanish-speaking clients.
Okay.
So I said, sure. You know, they picked up the tab, and when you're in your 20s and they're buying you food and drink, I was all for it. So I went to their office, and I helped them translate with some clients. And I was like, hey, you know, I like the guys working there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started clicking for me. Maybe I would stay in Las Vegas because at the time, Prudential wanted to send me to Charlotte. That's where most of their Latin American clients were dealing with out of South America.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my license and started doing my own loans. So this was 99, 2000, 2001 when I got into that with them.
So you've been in the game for a minute.
Yeah.
A long time.
Long time. Good book of business too. And, you know, you look back and you're like, should I have gone to Charlotte or stayed? But, you know, I found at the time, who's now my ex-wife, you know, we had a great 20-plus year marriage, 4 wonderful kids. And like I said, I always loved the Southwest anyway. So would have it been a good experience? You know, maybe. I'm sure it would have. Anywhere we go in the world, I think I can survive. But, yeah, it's been interesting. The legislative changes, the legal changes, 08 through 010. It's been an interesting ride, but you just got to stick through it like anything else.
Yeah. So what did your first deal look like?
Ooh, the first deal. Once I finished the first deal, I thought anything was possible. Wow, my first deal. My first deal was Jose Redondo.
Where your
family, this was probably 2000,
Okay.
99, 2000. Couple, 2 baby girls, and he was in a bankruptcy, Chapter 13 bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
So through the leads that they had, I spoke to him. I went to his house. Back then, we used to always go to people's homes because you'd get on the phone. It was just more of a trust thing. But he was in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and he wanted a 4-plex. So then I learned, and I even petitioned everything through the court for him to get his court-ordered approval in the 13. And, you know, it took a while. The check would end up being really nice, but I learned so much that if you really lead into the guidelines, that there's no reason to ever tell anybody no that they can't get a home loan. There is some prep work you do with people, whether it's credit or income.
Mhm.
But, him and his wife were working at a casino doing housekeeping. They had the girls. I spoke to the attorney. I ended up doing the filing through the court because, attorneys are never going to answer you on that. He'd still be looking for a home.
Yeah.
So we petitioned the court. We got approval from the court. We had the contract. I had all the paperwork in order. And that's what I tell my kids. Social media has them believing it's not important to do certain things in life, go out and do all this stuff, but you need structure. And the structure I got with my degree in finance, with my minor in accountancy, gave me the template where I could go do that deal. And after that, I was like, I can do anything.
So do you feel like you enjoy helping people get their first home, purchase their first home?
Yeah, that was always my blessing and my curse. Even now, back then especially, it was a big underserved community, and it took a lot of work that most people didn't want to put in, and I don't blame them. But when you see people that are working, saving, and living below their means so they can accomplish this, it's really special. I have clients where I'm about to do this particular client's grandkids. I filled out their financial aid forms when the girls went to college.
So that says a lot right there.
Yeah, like I get invited to weddings, birthday parties, all kinds of stuff. So a lot of these people, they trust me, so I do them right. But it's just amazing how it's been 30 years already.
Yeah. People don't know that you were the reason why I got into real estate.
Yeah, we met.
Yeah.
We were just talking, just sometimes you have a good energy about people. I saw you there a couple of times, and I always make it a point when I see people like that, are they polite when they interact with the staff, and are they just humble? Are they being loud and obnoxious? Those are always liability type people. You just walk in, you spoke to people, we talked a few times, and then when you asked me, I opened up to you.
Yeah.
Because I said, yeah, this is a guy that wants to do something, so let's do it. I want to do it. I'm in the business of speaking to people.
Yes, you are. I mean, and I felt very comfortable. At first I thought it was a little, maybe you had a little too much to drink to be. But you actually meant what you said.
Well,
you put me through school.
We would go to this place to have some cocktails and have a good time. But there's always good follow up, right?
Yeah.
It's a great place to go, especially in the afternoon, and we'd have a few drinks.
Yeah.
But there's bar talk, and then I'm always following up with people. So you followed up back, we followed up. So that's why whenever you call, I'm like, let's give it a shot. And I know you have a plan, and even though that plan isn't what I'm doing now, I'm always, you want my opinion, I'll give you my opinion.
And that's why I always call you.
Of what you want to do.
I always call you. So how do you decide if a property is a good investment?
A property will always be a good investment because it's your home. You need a foundation. You need stability. You need routine. You need to say, I'm going to wake up and do this every day. And as monotonous as that is, that's what you build off of. Now, when it's like making your bed in your morning. If you get up and make your bed and keep your house pretty tidy, you feel good about it. You have some sense of pride. You're going to have good and bad days. We all have terrible days.
Oh, trust me.
But if you can get home and say, all right, I'm back here. So the investment, people look at their first home as, is it going to make money? Can I do this one day? Can I do? You need to look at that as an investment in yourself. That is a return on your lifestyle, I say. Everybody's always ROI, return on investment, appreciation 3-5 months out of it, 5%, whatever that may be. But your first home and where you're living is a return on your life.
So when you're a first-time home buyer, is there a certain area you should look in before you invest, or?
Well, I'm a big advocate of proximity. Las Vegas, everything's pretty close. But if you're in a city and you can take away time, I'd always take the smaller place and be closer at first, because your investment is yourself is usually your work. You want to be in the safe possible. I'd rather be in a small, wherever you want to be. You have to decide that for yourself and what you want, but you got to be realistic. I think people get caught up And I see this all the time. It's social media. It's the worst information I've ever seen out there. So I'm going to give you some examples of first-time home buyers, let's say, looking for something. They're always complaining that everything's too high.
Mm-hmm.
And these old timers bought the home for this, and now they're selling it for that. Well, let me tell you, in 20 years, that home you're buying for whatever you think it is now is going to be much more expensive, because that's just the nature of the beast. Everybody makes an excuse and saying, oh, I'm going to wait for the market to drop. Well, if the market hasn't fallen out since 2021, when everything doubled, I don't believe it's going to, because I just think we're at the bottom of a bell curve. So if you have a good home in a good area, it's going to sell, because there's still transactions happening. Now, the tricky thing in the United States is every region is different. So you have to make an honest assessment about where you live and what you do. Here in Las Vegas, I mean, everybody wants to leave California.
Yeah, trust me, the highway shows it.
So, I mean, the highway shows it, the infrastructure shows it. I went through it this morning. I have 9 people that are waiting to sell their home in California, which is Central Valley, Southern California, these people. And as soon as they do it, they're out. I have a friend I see in the morning at the gym, same thing. He's trying to sell his business, and he's already working out here. And he's just saying the cost of doing business is just getting too high. So you get a lot of people coming out here to retire, and you know, we live here. It's easy to get around for the most part.
Yeah.
But you're always going to have that feed, and California is so big. And people retire out here for different reasons too. This dry heat, it's not like being in the South, where if you have arthritis or swollen joints, you feel good out here because you just don't deal with that. So health reasons, it's good. There's not a lot of pollen in the air. We don't have any insects flying around.
Yeah, it's totally different from the Midwest, especially where I'm from.
Yeah, the Midwest, you know, the South. We can sit outside any day, and if you see a mosquito, you're like, whoa. The kids are like, Mom, Dad, what's that? That's a mosquito. Whoa. I mean, all those poisons you put with bug spray, we don't have that here.
Nope.
You know, I went to a wedding in Atlanta a few years ago, and the guy's like, yeah, they throw, and this may or may not be true. This is what I was told. But they throw like a pesticide over just to get it down. We're in Tulum. Same thing. Every morning they drop these pesticides. I said, we're here for an eco vacation, and at 4 a.m. they're dropping chemicals on me.
Oh, no.
This is terrible.
I'll make sure I don't go to Tulum.
But, I you know, they want their clients to be comfortable, right? But I think you got to tell yourself, am I going to be uncomfortable with the payment for the next 5 years, or uncomfortable with the rent from 5 to 20 years? So there is an adjustment period anytime you buy anything, whether it's a car, and please stop buying new cars. God almighty. It's
told myself that.
You know, 2-3 years old, let's stop impressing other people and let's start investing in ourselves. Yeah. Get a home, make sure it's enough, be realistic about what your goals is, what your budget is, what you can do. Because there's always a transition. You're going to start making payments, and really we all spend a lot of money, so you're going to spend less here and give it back to yourself. Yeah. And in 5-10 years, you're going to either sell it and make money or pass it on to somebody else. You know, if you have a child out there, if you can not have them go through that burden you're going through when you retire, you know, it's an asset. And if you're in the right part of the country, which everywhere there's road traffic, obviously there's different restrictions in different parts of the country, but here they're going to keep building because I've seen it. There's plans. In Phoenix, there's plans. You know, talk about, you know, California exodus or Midwest exodus or East Coast exodus. You know, Southern Arizona, Southern Nevada and Arizona is always going to continue to get people.
So what is the biggest mistake you have seen in your profession?
We just mentioned it, the car note.
Car note. But here in Vegas, you know, you need a reliable car. So especially with this heat, you need AC. Maintain
your car. You know, once a month, you really got to just check the oil, check the tire pressure, check everything else. Just, you know, the good and bad of cars is you can get what you want.
Yeah.
But you have to have a plan of what are your goals in life. And I'm not perfect either. I've made mistakes when I was young. And I tell my kids now, I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, and the boys are older. And they don't listen to me either. So it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
But at least one day, maybe it'll click for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get upset because they don't listen to me. That's just what it is. I try to give them, I tell them, I said, the person who wants you to do better than, I want you to do better than me.
We all do. We always want
Right.
kids to do better.
So we can't get upset at them when they don't listen because I probably didn't listen either. But you just got to keep planting stuff in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm talking about them, it's a long-term goal. So with the house, you're making a mistake if you're just saying, what do I need now? Your goal should be what do I need to get a house, a condo, somewhere where I can lay my head?
So what are the key numbers you look at before you touch a deal or even do a deal?
Key numbers, it really, when I speak to somebody, it's what's your job type?
Mm-hmm.
Because I need to make sure they have enough income to get going. Some people are working cash or they have their own business. That's a whole different tax frame. Or they're making money. Are they looking to get promoted? What are they doing now? So really, you're looking for stable employment.
Mm-hmm. So what do you, for like myself, be a first-time buyer home. So how much should I make a year?
Well, it depends what your liabilities are. If you're making $60,000 a year, you can buy something.
Mm-hmm.
And actually in Nevada, anything up to $73,000 is the sweet spot where you can get really good down payment assistance. Okay. Now, I've had deals where I refer it to a credit union I work with because I know they have the good down payment assistance programs. Those are the federal programs.
Mm-hmm.
But they're stricter on the credit. So that's why, as you know, I'll say, all right, let's pull your credit. All right, you need to pay this. Let's negotiate this. You got this collection. How long has it been closed? 3 years. All right, we can let's call and get it down to 30, 40%, wipe it out. Don't go on a repayment with your collection. I would advise not to. Save up and just pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
Save up, pay it off, and then we can get it deleted off your credit after that. So you really just want to get that because, believe it or not, your credit score affects your auto insurance, and it really affects your auto loan.
Mm.
So when you get that auto insurance, they're checking that. Everything is like it or not, that's the bar that they measure you by. So you want to have as little debt as possible.
But with the economy the way it is, how do you try to have little debt? Don't you think it's impossible, especially with the job not paying?
So, see, this is the other thing that I think that the media gets mixed up is social media, and the media is always telling everybody how bad everything is. Mm-hmm. So we have it in our head, the economy's bad. If the economy's so bad, and I tell you because I still have friends that live in Mexico, is the ones who aren't relatively wealthy, they're trying to come here. Mm-hmm. You want to see bad? Go to those countries. You can go to Mexico City in the main areas, but you walk 2 miles off, it looks like Beirut. So that's bad.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Sometimes we don't take advantage of things here because we think it's not enough money.
Mm-hmm.
Get working first. And if you're single, you should probably be working 2 jobs. 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, that's not enough. Mm-mm. Even now, I mean, every day I'm doing something. I'm talking to somebody. Every day is something else. And sure, it looks glamorous what we're doing, but we talk to 80 people, and if we get 3, that's a great month. But you got to be out there. You got to be consistent. You got to be accountable. So, and anybody get started, just take a real honest look at going to your credit. If you have collections, no big deal. Let's see where they're at. Let's get them paid off. That should be your first goal. And then once you get that done and you clean up, you may not need as much for a down payment as you have, because if you get with the right institution, they're going to help you with that. Then you can get in a spot that's a small condo, $250,000, $300,000, and you're paying $1,500, $1,700 a month. And you can say, for example, Las Vegas, the rental market is soft right now, so rents are relatively low because they open thousands of these apartments units around the Beltway.
Oh, yeah. I see.
But let's not forget what happened pre and during COVID when there weren't enough apartment units. Remember how expensive the rent was?
Oh, yeah.
It changed like that because these things all opened pretty much simultaneously. And they're still building more. So rents are cheap. They're still building more because the big money still knows that the valley is going to fill out. So if you think that $1,500, $1,700 payment is a lot now, in 5 years it won't be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things, we're always talking about how bad things are, but really, you just got to rebudget. I mean, eating out is pretty absurd. I agree with that. But I eat at home. Once in a while, I'll go out. I've met you at a couple of spots, and I'll get a bite to eat. But for the most part, yeah, you go out at some of these restaurants, and I'm like, it's too much. But that's what happens when, the cost of doing business gets higher. So much of what's in Nevada comes through California.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to pay that tax. I mean, you drive down to Bullhead City and you go Laughlin, gas is what, $4.50?
You talking about Laughlin, Nevada? Right?
Yeah, Laughlin, Nevada. You go across the river to Arizona, gas is what, $2 something?
Mm-hmm.
That's because we're in that funnel zone from California here, and that's why we're the fourth highest gas in the country, Nevada anyway. One day we'll get around it, maybe not, but those are things out of our control. You can still budget food. How much food are you throwing away? That's the basic. Once you get in it, that's why I say you need a routine. I'm going to do this, 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 and this. I have a long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
And we just talked about being here 30 years.
Yeah.
It seems it flies by. And trust me, everybody hears the old-timers say it because it's true.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But if you're getting started, just take a look at your credit, get everything paid down, pay your credit cards down if you can. And, don't lose hope. Every day's a fight.
So what separates successful and struggling investors?
People who watch these TV shows get a bad idea of what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're going to start investing in homes as rentals, you need to be doing as much of the work as you can.
Okay.
These TV shows, they're not making any money, I'll tell you that. They're making money off the TV rights.
So when you say TV show, what do you mean? The ones that are building or the ones that are
the remodel ones, a lot of the remodel where they go buy a house. And some people got lucky, like Chip and Joanna Gaines. They were in some small middle of nowhere town in Texas buying homes for $80,000.
Waco. They in Waco.
Yeah, they're in Waco.
Mm-hmm.
So they're buying homes for nothing. And she did a beautiful job in it. And then the market took off there because there was so much overflow from the metros out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're coming in selling them for $200,000, and then she kind of caught steam with that. But you can't have that kind of manpower and do it unless you're getting a home at a really deep discount. But if you're coming in and saying, all right, what can I fix up? And then the other thing is, if you're going to rent it, once you start renting homes, you want to understand why these homes that you're renting are really basic. Mm-hmm. Because people tear them up.
Yeah.
So you want it nice, you want it clean, you want everything functional. But if you're buying a home to rent as an investment and saying, all right, we're going to hold it 10, 15, 20 years, and so a lot of people now, they say, if I cash flow, great. If I'm breaking even, great. Of course, you need savings when they move out. But you need to do as much of the work as possible, even if it's just gutting the house.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the restroom's tore up. You need to get your gloves on and go get a dumpster and do that. Figure out what happens so when people start quoting you jobs, you've already taken down the drywall. You're starting to get an idea of what it is. And you'll start picking up who's BSing you or not. Go in, get the work, get the hammer. You always want to check for your water lines and everything else, but that's just something you learn.
So having a good relationship in your type of business, is that important?
That's important for everything. I mean, none of us do anything with people we don't trust.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, especially in real estate, if you know the other person, that they're hard worker, accountable, been doing this a while and going to do whatever it takes to get to the finish line,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to choose them over somebody you don't know. It's not always about the offer. If you're on the listing side, you can go to the seller and say, these are the offers.
Mm-hmm.
And you may pick up a conversation. Do you know the agents? Yeah, I know this young lady. She's been in this for about 10, 15 years. She's really aggressive. She works hard, and she really makes sure her people are qualified. Boom, because the goal is to close. The most aggressive deal isn't always the one that closes.
So, being a broker, right? That's part of your job as well, right?
Yeah, I've done both sides, broker, wholesaler, everything.
So, what makes a buyer or seller stand out to you?
Ready, willing, and able.
Mm.
And that's the key. They always talk about in real estate. Do you have a ready, willing, and able buyer? What that is telling you is somebody who's going to cooperate and communicate and get you what you need. You need some documents, he's going to get them signed. You need income for the lender, they're going to get them signed. You need to have the home inspection where you have questions on, all right, we're going to go over it and be reasonable. So they're engaged with you. It's your job to negotiate them through the path. Something's wrong with the house. Oh, it's an outlet. You can freak out or explain to them why the home inspector says this outlet, which works perfectly fine, needs to be replaced. Because home inspectors inspect the home on today's code. So something might be wrong or not. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with the electrical of the house. You just might need a new circuit breaker. But if somebody, a buyer sees that, they might say, oh, the electrical's bad. That's when you need to educate them and say, that's not what he's saying. Let's read the report. The GFI may be bad.
Mm-hmm.
That just needs to be, they're recommending we replace it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why more than ever now, because we get a lot of overflow from California, is some insurance companies, depending on the age of the home, they might want to see the home inspection. And that might get you a better premium. Here in Las Vegas, if the roof is 20 years old on a 2-story home, they want that reset. That's when they pull it back, put new paper down, and reset the tiles, because some people might not know it, but there is some seismic activity here. And you see it on some of the roads that they're just in the middle of nowhere making a huge loop. So there is some vibrations, and some of that stuff will shake the home.
So, dealing with that, what is your most challenging what is your most challenging deal you have to deal with, and how did you overcome that? Especially like with new homeowners and a property that didn't pass inspection.
Let's say a home doesn't pass inspection. There's something wrong with the plumbing. There are neighborhoods in town where I call a guy and he runs a camera down the piping of the home and it goes to the street.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of those neighborhoods haven't set right, or some of them have metal tubes that have corroded in the last 50 years. So if they run that camera through, see, that home would pass home inspection, but over time, in the next 5 years, you're going to have an issue with that. So the appraisal won't note it. The home inspector might not note it because they're just pretty much turning everything on. So there are neighborhoods in Las Vegas where you want that camera all the way down to the street to see if that junction is correct. Because we've had it go in nice homes in nice areas. You get there and there's a separation. And you can't see it because it's about 3 feet underground. So it's draining. But a lot of these houses, the bigger homes, you'll have a couple where the kids are gone and they're not using it that much. But if you move in with a couple, 2, 3 kids, 4 kids, that water is going to back up and there's going to be a problem. And that's very expensive to tear that out. So the challenge, there's no challenge. You just have to make sure you communicate well enough with clients. And this is any business probably. You communicate well enough with clients where they trust you enough to express themselves to you.
Mm-hmm.
What about this? What about this? What about this? So I always walk it with them. I go over the window, which way the home's pointing. It's facing north, south, east, west. If the home is facing east, hey, your backyard's going to get blown up in the summer. So you're probably going to need some shades.
Mm-hmm.
You just you're not making the decision for them. You're just informing them. Oh, I like sunlight on the front door. There's so many different reasons. I think it's good luck for this. I think it's good luck for that. Great. I'm just letting you know you're moving here from somewhere else. This is February, March, beautiful weather.
Yes.
And what is it? High 70s and sunny today?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful weather. But I'm letting them know. So in the summer, they're not just upset because that backyard's getting beat down in that 3 to 6 p.m. window.
And they can't go out there and enjoy it because of this weather.
Yeah, it's because it does get hot. But there isn't a bigger challenge. You just really have to prep people. And people will know if you know what you're talking about, and people will know if you're being genuine.
So when it's not a challenge when people want a turnkey household and their budget does not allow that for them.
Well, that's when you just got to have the conversation. This is the budget we have, and you kind of let the home speak to themselves. All right, somebody can buy up to 350,000. What part of town do we want to be in? And you go look through it. So the first home, you got to know if they're serious.
Mm-hmm.
Are we buying the home? No. Why aren't we buying the home? I don't like this and this. Okay, so let's find it. So really, they're walking through a few homes and making up decisions. So with that first day of showings, you have to figure out what they want, because sometimes they're looking for something, and with a couple, you have to notice if they're not communicating or not. He may want this, she may want this. And that's a them thing. But you need to address that then, or else it's never going to go anywhere. Some couples communicate very well, and some people keep quiet. So if I see one of the people keeping it quiet, I'll go talk to them. Hey, what do you like? What do you don't like? You just kind of steer the direction. And then eventually they're going to see this thing that it's going to be turnkey in the sense where everything's working, but maybe they want to change the floor. They might have to do that later. Or maybe they want new appliances. Hey, wait for a 3-day weekend, wait for a holiday sale, wait for something else to come up before you pick that up. Because sometimes the home, the good thing about buying at the bottom of a bell curve right now, it's not like the homes have dripped that much, but you can come in and buy with really on a budget. You can just do the down payment. We have right now, we're doing down payment assistance. The price is $450. Their total cash to close is going to be $3,500.
Okay, so how do you typically determine finance deals?
Well, that goes to the lender side, but it's what their income is, and that's why I always say when you look at your credit report, target the good accounts first. Pay everything down first, and then start chipping away at the collections.
So what do you know? What do you determine to sell your property? Do you wait till people get enough equity coming in, or do you?
Well, to sell, there's always a lot of different reasons: passing, divorce, equity. I never encourage anybody to sell their property. If you call and said, "Hey, we have this house, we want to sell this and buy another one." All right, let's see what we can do to keep this and buy another one, and we'll see if the numbers work for you. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
So if I was to buy a property, right, and I wanted to pass it down to my oldest, which is my daughter, my house down to her, how does that work?
Well, you could you could set up a trust, which in Nevada the trusts are very strong. You can set up to put the home in a trust, and from what I've understood from attorneys telling me is the IRS can't even come after that. The court come after that. Once you have homes in a trust in Nevada for 2 years, that's between you guys and the lender. So you could set up a will, a trust, whatever you want to leave that to her. And it would keep the mortgage, or you pay it off, or, there's a lot of things that can happen. But the couple I had last month, they had 2 kids, and I said, "Do you want to keep this house?" "Sure." His argument was they're not making money, but I said, "Well, consider that lack of income pretty much an investment in the house to give to them, because their outlook is we expect homes to go up quite a bit." Okay, if you expect your kids to be back here, which they may or may not, do you want to give them that house and then take over payments? So there's a lot of different factors, but as far as a first-time home buyer, just get into something. Get into as much as you can. Couples make the mistake. Single people make the mistake. I want a little 2-bedroom condo where I can get in and out of. Don't. Always try to go 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. You don't need it now, but if you get that you're pretty much set. Could you upgrade? Yes. Will you ever need to upgrade? No. Because once you're in a condo, sure, you can do it. If that's all you can budget, get it. But if you always get as much as you can, because really, if you look at your finances, we spend what's in our pocket. And when you got that extra money in your pocket, you're gonna go blow it.
And as we dig ourselves in this ditch.
Yeah, you dig your ditch. You dig in a ditch. So the property, the asset is giving you the discipline. I need to make this payment. All right, what do we have left over? All right, maybe I don't need to buy out. If you have a pantry full of food I don't eat. That's my pet peeve. I go to the grocery store probably twice a week because I don't like to have just all this food sitting there. It drives me crazy.
So how do you determine a realtor who's really got your best interest versus just trying to get commission?
You're going to notice if they're listening to you. And they should be trying to sell you something you can afford. Number one. Now, you should always you never know people's true motives, so you need to show people a variety. If somebody tells me they're approved for 400,000, I'm going to show them 375, 4, and 425, kind of in different areas. And they may say, and I'll tell them, you don't need the 425, you can do the 375. But you need to make the decision about where you want to be at financially. Sometimes people say, we're going to pull it back and we're going to try to do some of the remodels. Or you know what? I'm going to be working as much as possible, so I'm going to stretch to the 425, and I'm going to try to be working weekends. I'm not trying to do a 9 to 5. I'm trying to get overtime. I'm trying to do all this other stuff. So let me do this because I know I have the potential to make more income or get another job. I don't want to be doing stuff at home. Everybody has a different goal or ability to really put themselves in an uncomfortable situation, whether that's working more or remodeling stuff at the house. So how do you know? Everybody thinks that people who get into real estate will often say, I don't think I'm a good salesman. You just need to be yourself because we all get along with different personality types. We all endear ourselves to somebody else, whether you meet some random place or you're from the same area or you like the same college team or you don't. There's a lot of things that happen. You just got to go with whoever you're comfortable with. And be honest, if you're not comfortable with them, then just move on. That's just, don't move forward in any business if something that is somebody you're uncomfortable with.
But what if they got you locked down into a contract?
Well, if you're already in a purchase contract, then you should probably just finish. But that's a decision you need to make the first or second time meeting them. Are they being accountable? Are they calling you back? Are they giving you information? First-time homebuyers, there's a lot of questions. And usually when I meet with people, I try to talk to them about the things that I know that are important, the budgeting, the asset allocation, where you want to be before we even get into it. And you got to make sure, if it's a couple, you got to make sure both of them are talking.
So when you're dealing with first-time buyers, how do you find houses that are not on the market?
Well, that's a whole other game. People always talk about, I want to be a wholesaler and this and that. Those are the 50 texts you get now. Used to get a bunch of calls. They're pretty much just shooting darts. And if you're not in that business, don't waste your time. You just don't have that skill set to find something. Nothing really sells below market. We're in a small market here. Everything is pretty close to market. Now the homes, also, I showed a home last week. It was $515. I said, that they got it listed a little high. And then I went back and looked at the history of the property. And then I noticed that they had the home in 06. They did a loan modification in 010. And then 2 years ago, she deeded it to somebody with her same name. I don't know if it was her daughter or her mother or her sister. I don't know. So I saw that deed happen. And there was a refinance. So I don't know if they were liquidating a position or she was really gifting her the property, which is possible, but a new loan was taken out. So being on both sides of the business, I think she didn't want to sell it and pay the costs. So she deeded it to somebody in her family, same name. And then they refinanced that at the time of closing to pull out the equity. So then I'm looking at the property saying they bumped up the sales price, and put it above market value because they don't have the equity to sell. If they put it at true market value, they'd have to short sell. So that's why when you're looking at the properties, is it priced right? Now they have to be priced right. If the home has a full remodel, that might sell over market because if you have the money, you don't want to deal with it full. Remodels are very consuming. That's why I tell you that what they show you on TV, it's they're not bending the truth. It's a flat out lie. Remodeling is very, very involved. Dealing with people takes a lot. If it's not your business, it takes a lot of time.
So, Kelly, what does it take to build a solid and reliable team?
When you're building a team, you want people that want to be there, that need to be there. They're going to make a lot of mistakes and you're going to have miscommunications, but people have to be energetic and really believe in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. They got to be fully committed. Having somebody part-time, unless maybe they're working a night shift, it's not going to work because you have to be available at all times. When the phone call comes in, somebody needs to answer that. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not available, you need somebody to help you out, which rarely happens because the client comes to you, so you need to be available and you need to set your schedule that works for both of you. Mm-hmm. It's hard now because everybody wants a quick fix, and then they don't get anywhere. So building your team, you need people that want to be there, and just expect them to make mistakes, and they're going to have some growing pains. But if they want to be there and they want to succeed, you just got to help them along the way and encourage them.
So is experience required to work in that type of field, or is it more hands-on?
Real estate is sales.
Mm-hmm.
The confusion people make is they think, I've never done real estate. I don't care what product you do, whether it's a doctor, a teacher, a police officer, anything. You are selling something. And what you're selling is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you do. You have to endear yourself to people, and you got to be confident. You have to show up with your toolbox and have all your information in there. That's how you sell yourself to people. So, I talked to a good friend of mine who has a nice company in town, and we always say, in his business, he's not in that business. He's in the lead business. In real estate, I'm in the lead business. I want to get people coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get people coming back to me. Anybody that goes in a business, they look at somebody and they're like, hey, that old guy, he doesn't do anything more. He just answers his calls. Yeah, because that's 30 years of being accountable. Now his retirement is he goes in and they call him. And this is a business you can do till the day you die. Because every morning we get up to the gym, I'm there by 5, I work out, I go out, and I'm 52. I feel great. Mm-hmm. I want to keep doing this. And I know guys that are older than me, they're still doing it. And this is all over the country. So you got to really believe in what you want, and you got to be committed to it and know that the fruits of your labor are going to come because people will always call you. You stay in touch with you, they're going to call you first. There's always this thing about, AI is going to take over, and that may happen or not, but AI is I've seen it's kind of getting rid of certain middlemen. Mm-hmm. But people are getting annoyed with AI too, calling them and over text and everything. So they're just going to call you back. Eventually, at the time of a transaction, they're going to need to speak to somebody. And that somebody should be you. And you always, speaking about tech, you have to know your market. I know the Las Vegas, Arizona market.
Okay.
If you are investing for yourself or your family or whoever it may be, markets are very different. I was talking to a client. They're in Montclair, New Jersey. I've never been there. Mm-hmm. But when they were looking to buy out here, they were looking at a certain price point based on their expenses in New Jersey. A $2 million house in New Jersey, in that Montclair area, roughly their real estate taxes, hold on everybody in the Southwest, is $50,000 a year.
Mm. And where is Vegas at?
Las Vegas, if it's an older home, you're probably paying $6,000 to $7,000 a year. Mm. If it's a new build, it's assessed differently, so you might be 15, 20, if that.
And that's Cross.
And I've never really seen that.
And that's Cross Valley?
Yeah, In Las Vegas, your property taxes are assessed on the year it was built. So you can get one neighborhood that's 100 yards away from the other one. The new build is going to be double the real estate taxes of the older ones.
Okay.
And, I touched on it earlier about the perceptions of the market. All these doom and gloom guys or guys with bad information. There was one guy on Information talking about how to buy an RV park, assuming the property and it cash flows. It's just not genuine content because it's not true. Who's going to give up an asset that's cash flowing up and say, here you go, guy, take my money. I just want to walk away from it. In Las Vegas, Nevada, you have Red Rock Resorts that for I think about 176 acres paid $126 million.
Mm.
So would somebody be paying that much money if they thought this was all going to drop off the table?
I don't think so.
Up on the west side of town, I believe it was 87 acres for $150 million. Now, this is land. There's not even paved streets up there. In the northwest side of town, there was a similar transaction. This is all in the last 2 years. And they're all moving forward to continue building because long-term, there's going to be continued interest. I have two clients that live out here. One's in Southern California. They live in those high-rise. They have properties in those high-rises in Chicago. There's been no appreciation in those properties for over 10 years.
Mm.
None. Beautiful property. I think, if I remember right, it's the 37th floor. She rents it out for like $2,000 a month. And she was lucky to get that. So we need to understand where the migration of people is going to continue to come to the Southwest. Whether that's Arizona, if you enjoy 8 months of over 100 degrees, Phoenix is for you. And if you like 3-4 months of heat, Las Vegas is for you. I mean, we get hot too, not Phoenix hot. But the weather for me is exponentially better. And it's a smaller town. We're 2.5 million people trying to get to 3 million people.
Mm-hmm.
For better or worse, it's going to happen. And that's why these developers continue to build this. I believe Boyd Gaming hasn't built a building in 20 years, and they're about to complete one in the southwest of town. This is a whole new casino.
Mm.
I don't know if you remember the conversation we had a while ago. These smaller casinos that come up, they are replacing what malls used to be.
Correct. We have.
Because malls are empty. But you go to Durango, that thing is packed. Durango, talking about money, they're doing a $750 million expansion. That puts them almost to $1 billion with property and renovation. Do you think they're going to be investing this money, their own money, if they thought this was all going to fall apart? No. Station Casinos believes that in the next 5 to 7 years, the average income in the valley will be up 10 to 15%.
Would you invest?
Oh, always, because you always look at something long term. Take care of yourself, and we're going to live for a long time. Anybody I don't know about your particular mark, wherever somebody's living, but if you're in the Southwest, people are going to keep coming here. And unless there's a major change in California, it's not going to continue to stop. There's just too many factors that happen in Southern Nevada where it's going to continue to grow. They talk about the end of the middle class, this and that. You know what? People are still buying out here because there's still transactions. So if you think it's going to fall off, we suffered the doubling of everything in 2021.
So the question, do you think with the new building that the pay will allow new buyers like me, new home buyers who's looking to buy a home like me to afford those?
Well, everything new build is going to be more expensive. So you need to find those pockets in the area if you want to be in a resale, if you want to get something at a lower price point. Because everything's changed. $100,000 now is what $50,000 used to be, and that's just what it is. But as the value of your currency declines, the prices go up. It's happened in Latin America. I saw it firsthand in Mexico. The prices are going to keep going up. And before COVID, what was everybody saying? There's a housing shortage. There's still a housing shortage. And they know that. That's why they're throwing $150 million at a piece of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
because they know they're going to be able to sell those things for $750,000, $1.25 million, because the price difference is so different. South Florida is the new Manhattan. What is it? 75% of Wall Street's down there. In a couple of years, it's probably going to be 100% what these guys got going on over there. But South Florida, with the hurricane insurance and everything, other insurance, last time I checked with a friend, if you buy a home for 1.2 here, that's like a $500,000 home. It's the same payment with all the additional insurances. And their real estate taxes are 1.99. Sure, they say they're trying to eliminate, and that's fine, but there's going to be made up in other sales taxes. So that's why I bring up the real estate taxes in New Jersey and the issues in Chicago, maybe not all Chicago, but most. Real estate taxes here are very low.
So you're saying to all those who've been complaining that Vegas is very expensive.
Yeah, I don't know where else you've been living.
So you're saying it's pretty much affordable, very much.
You must be from a very rural area.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in a major metro. San Diego's expensive. LA's expensive. Newport Beach, very expensive. Safe, clean, beautiful, but it's expensive. San Francisco's still expensive.
Mm.
And that thing's been in the toilet for a long time, unfortunately. It breaks your heart. But they're expensive. Seattle's expensive. All these places are very expensive. Salt Lake has some of the worst air in the country right now because they grew so fast. Salt Lake is built up against that mountain.
Mm-mm.
So you want to talk about bad air quality? Salt Lake used to be a beautiful area, but they got an influx of people coming in there too. And now they're having some crime issues and some other policy issues because they're voting some people in, and it's making it unsafe for people. But you have to look at landlord states, where you can rent it, the cost of renting, and what's best for you. Where do you think you're going to be moving to? But me, as far as Southern Nevada, that's why, where am I going to go? I have a good network here. I can get to Southern Cal. I can get to Arizona. It's relatively easy. This is a simple tri-state area that's going to continue to grow. Scottsdale, Paradise Valley is probably going to be a top 5 wealthy enclave in the next 10 years. And this isn't me. I think J.P. Morgan had that estimated. So that's going to get very expensive. But, you're always going to have 3-4 months where it's over 120. It's very hot. I mean, you talk about affordability. Las Vegas in the Southwest, I don't think there's any place more affordable that gives you the resources we have. I mean, we live in here.
Oh, yeah.
It's like in a city of 2.5, 3 million, we have so many places to go to because of tourism. Restaurants, shops, malls, everything is so close. I mean, the part where you live and the part where I live, if we go 10 minutes, we got everything we need. What other city has that? You get in and out of McCarran, no problem. It's just a great place to be. Everybody I know in real estate is still excited. It's just everything has its ups and downs. But people really need to stop focusing on the doom and gloom because you're still selling a few thousand homes a month. And what happens? And right now you can buy where you're coming in with very little money. What happens when the market turns? Everybody knows that when the market turns, now you got to overpay for the home and pay all your own clothes. So now you're coming in $50,000 at least. Down payment, clothes, and everything else. Right now, the seller's helping you out.
So with me being a new buyer, what should I go? What should I already have prepared for to make the transition of looking for a new home easy?
Credit and income. We can save a little bit of money, or we can get something to help you out with that, because that's available right now. When the market heats up, it's gone.
So I read somewhere, I think when I was attending real estate school, and I think I heard it from you that your credit, you have to have a 560 or a 580 to be qualified?
Well, FHA's 580. Your rate gets a little higher, but ideally for FHA, you want to be over 620. Okay. You could do 550 if you come 5-10% down, but that's just to get the score from 550 to 620 is relatively easy. Mm-hmm. If you do what I said earlier, pay down any revolving balance and slowly start paying off your collections, go negotiate them and just pay them off. The repayment plan kills your credit. These credit counseling agencies where they consolidate them kills your credit.
Mm. So with all these people with these credit repair and credit debt, they do more harm than hurting you? Is that what you're saying?
In my opinion, from what I've seen, I just think that game is over. because the days of it's all electronic. They don't mail in letters anymore. I think it kind of shifted around 2015. Because we used to do that. We used to have somebody pay it, and we'd mail the letter in. 30 days it was off their credit. But now it's just everything's online. So be your own credit repair. Pay off any credit cards and slowly pay off your collections. And not all of them. You got to sit with somebody who knows what they're talking about. Hey, that collection's 4 or 5. After 6 years, a credit card's gone in Nevada. There's a Nevada revised statute. You go online, you put the Nevada revised statute, it's gone.
So with a new home who's looking to buy for the first time, what do you require? Where do you suggest buying now or renting?
Buy. Like I said, we have one in contract now, $450,000. She's going to come in with what, $3,500, $4,000.
And this is for a new?
No, it's not a new. That's a resale. 4-bedroom, 3 full baths, and a pool.
Okay.
They were stuck on the pool. The pool makes it very rare. I tried to talk them out of the pool, but they were stuck on the pool.
Because pools, you have to invest a lot in that pool, huh? Because of the maintenance.
If you're willing to put in the time, the pool's great, but it's work, and that pump's running all summer, so that hits your electric bill.
But hey, living there where we live in the valley.
But a lot of people, if you decide on the pool, that's great, but your options of home are a little more limited.
Because of the inventory.
Yeah, it's just not a lot out there, and the licensing is really tough. But if nobody was investing that kind of capital, and there are more investments in Las Vegas, I'm not quoting them all, but if nobody was investing money, there's a problem. But the people that are forecasting, that have the capital, they're investing. And investors are still buying homes. But they got the rest of the people just, the market's going to fall off. The thing about what happened in 08 and 010 is never going to happen again. You know why? Because banks aren't going to make the same mistake twice.
This is true.
Because rule number 1 of the bank is to protect the bank. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. They got a huge black eye, and they're never going to do that again.
So for someone with not a good credit score, what program would you suggest they go to?
FHA, easy. Low down payment, great rate. They don't really fuss about any collections on there.
Okay.
Especially if you can get over 620, which is relatively easy. Hey, you have some collections, deal with them or don't deal with them. But depending when they are, if you have a credit card that's 5 years old, they can no longer collect in Nevada after 6 years if it's inactive.
Okay. So
I just think a lot of people are afraid to take the step. And if you speak to somebody at a major lending institution, they're probably not very experienced and they don't know what to do. Talk to your agent, reach out to me, and I'll say, this is what we need to do. Get your credit. This is what you need to do. You got 6 months. Let's go.
So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how do they do that?
You guys are on Instagram. It's ELKELLY 702, El Kelly 702. And you can just hit me up there. I'm going to start putting some more real estate content now that this gentleman motivated me to get out here again. So I'm going to start doing more stuff on social media again. Get with the times.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by and having this conversation with me. And once again, I appreciate you believing in me and putting me through real estate school, even though my path kind of
That's all right.
Steer it off a little
We're still
bit,
moving
but-
forward. I believe in you, brother, and you're a good guy.
Appreciate you.
So
appreciate you.
we got a long way to go, and every day we're working toward it.
Before we go, tell them again where they can reach you at on IG.
ELKELLY 702. That's my Instagram. Hit me up. Like, dislike. I love getting in arguments with people and bashing some of these guys giving you terrible information.
Well, thank
Stay
you.
aggressive, stay attacking. So always, we're going to win, we're going to lose, but stay out there. You got a goal to buy a home, do it.
We're getting to if you in the valley and you need a realtor, get at my guy Kelly.
Yeah, and if you're out of state and you have an LLC, let's get a Nevada LLC going for you. That's the way to do it.